Now, scan to email is a very common plugin or piece of functionality that many companies like to use with most because it does add that user interface to simplify scanning an email, especially through Exchange. One of the things to mention, so on the topic of Exchange, so most can scan through SMTP server, Exchange 2003, 2007, 2010, or I think it's 2013 is the most recent one. And there's a little bit of a difference between SMTP and Exchange. Now, when somebody goes to send a document through SMTP, there's no record in their sent box of that document being delivered or being sent at all. So Exchange seems to be the more preferred method when doing scan to email. By doing scan to email through Exchange, the user that logged into most using their domain credentials, when they send that email, a copy of that email and attachment will appear in their sent box. So it's almost as if they walked up to their desktop, went to create a new email, and attached, let's say, a PDF file or a TIFF image to the email and hit send. Scanning for most will accomplish that same end result. That document and email will appear in their sent box, while SMTP doesn't have that extra ability, I guess. So it helps tie things together when users are logging in using domain credentials. It also adds a little bit of extra security. By opening up an SMTP server, there might be security concerns, while Exchange, since it relies on the domain credentials, is slightly more secure. On the topic of Exchange, one thing I did want to mention is that Office 365 is kind of a new common server to be used with scan to email. And most does have the capabilities to use Office 365 Exchange to send emails as well. So here on the first email screen, now that we've covered the server side, on the first email screen, we have the ability to search for contacts or manually enter. Now, searching for a contact can search either the LDAP or Active Directory server, as well as the Exchange server if one is configured. So let's see what we have when we search at the moment. So searching with a blank string will try and return all of the results available. While if I type in information, it will only show me matches that correspond to the query that I entered. So in this case, I'd look for the user demo. Now this is useful for sending an email, but it's also useful, or this similar type of approach is useful for searching for, let's say, an invoice number or an order number. For instance, if we're going to some kind of document management system, sometimes the user won't want the responsibility of ensuring that they're entering the correct information. It's very easy to make a typo at the copy machine on the touchscreen. So the searching capabilities of most are very strong. They can be set up simply to search maybe a database, or they can be as complex as writing a custom DLL using the most SDK, which we'll hopefully get to kind of touch on a little bit towards the end. So the range of the searching capabilities with most varies greatly depending on the workflow you're trying to create. And in this case, we're just searching for an email address. I just wanted to show the concept could be much larger. Now, once I've selected the contact I would like to send an email to, I can click the Add button. And you'll see it moves the entry that I selected from one list to the other. That's done with just the basic objects built into most. We'll go over some of the objects available once we get into creating your own screen design. For instance, I didn't want to search LDAP, and I knew exactly the email address I wanted to enter, or perhaps the email address was not on my domain. If I hit the manual button here, I could type in the email address as well, and that will add it directly to this bottom list here. Now, similar to scan to folder screen, we have a file name text box and a subject text box. as well as the scan settings, again, whether it's monochrome, scanning from the feeder, or how many sides the page has. But the other option that's a little bit unique on the email compared to the folder is this checkbox here. What this checkbox will allow us to do is, if the user would like to send the email to themselves, so they don't need to go and search for their own email address, all they have to do is click on this box and it will either toggle it on or off if they'd like to receive the email in their own inbox. Now I'm going to skip sending the email. I haven't set up my SMTP server just yet. Take a look at that in a moment. The email to self screen has very similar settings compared to the original email screen, with the exception of this label that shows the user's email address. So Most also has the ability of showing the user some of their own information to help them confirm where the document is going to be sent to. It's a useful way of ensuring that the user knows where the document should appear. Similarly, on the folder screen, on the simple screen, we have the home folder specified as a label as well. The simple email and the multi-email are really just combinations of the first two screens, just redesigned slightly to different features of those screens, a little bit more emphasis, but the end result is really all the same.